Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my video. In today's video we're going over pull value for 3.1, phase 1 and 2. This guide will be a little bit more quicker, so without further ado, let's go straight into this. So when it comes to the units and banners we have, it's pretty simple. We have Aemeath, Chisa and Lupa in phase 1, Luuk and Galbrena in phase 2. Let's start with Aemeath. So with Aemeath, she is basically a fusion main DPS. She does liberation damage and she inflicts a fusion burst and she takes advantage of Tune Rupture mode. The first thing will be weapons. So for weapons, her best weapon will be her own Everbright Polestar, and in my opinion this weapon is okayish. The value of this weapon is not the best, but the reason why it's not the best, because the second best option is basically very budget friendly, and that is Emerald of Genesis. This weapon just gives you 12% attack percentage boost, energy regen, which Aemeath really needs for her ultimate uptime, and critical rate and high base attack, which is very good for DPS units. So if you have Emerald of Genesis, you have no actual big reason you don't actually need this weapon. So if you want to pull this weapon, sure. If you can't pull this weapon, Emerald of Genesis is a very good option, next best option after her signature. So that's for weapons. For skills, I made slight error here, but nothing too crazy. So I upgraded to level 10 the 40 circuit, but actually the liberation should be level 10 first, then 40 circuit to level 9, and both enhanced skills. This is basically how you distribute the 9 weekly boss materials on the first week, right? The next thing that you need to level up on the second week will be level 8 normal attack, level 8 resistance skill, because you're using a lot of basic attacks during your rotation, so you will get a lot of damage of this. It will kinda impact your damage. Intro skill should be still on level 6, and then your crit and attack percentage stats should be unlocked as well. So that's basically it when it comes to weapon, when it comes to skills. Now let's talk about teammates. So in my opinion, the best teams that you can make right now are going to be Aemeath, Lene, Chisa in a fusion burst mode for Aemeath. So that's basically something you can keep in mind. If you already have Lene, you don't have Morny, or you want to use Showkeeper on some other team, Chisa is kinda okay option, but over the Showkeeper she's not really that much better. The next option is Lupa, which in my opinion is even better, and honestly the only one fusion burst team right now is not Cope, and that's Chisa, Aemeath and Lene. So that's basically for fusion burst. Now I've been talking about fusion rupture teams, and this one will be with Aemeath, Lupa and Changli. So if you don't really care about too much sustain, if you're very good with the dodging, Changli is very good because Lupa has that swap windows and it's very good. So yeah, Changli works perfectly, and Changli's outro skill, as we can already confirm, it amplifies fusion damage by 20% and liberation by 25% for incoming resonators. So that's very powerful for Aemeath, and so that's one of the comps you can make. The second one is going to be Morny, Lupa and Aemeath. That's easily standard, like monofusion core, Morny and Lupa, but this time Aemeath benefits from Morny even more, because Morny is the best in slot support for Aemeath team on general. So that's one of the things. Now another teams that you want to make, either very strong and powerful, is going to be with Lene. Lene and Aemeath is going to be the best duo when it comes to damage. And on top, if you have Morny, this team will shred the endgame with ease. Now the next thing that you can make, if you don't really have that many units and you wanna still decide to pull for Aemeath but you don't really have any teammates, there are some free options. You can make something like this. So if you have well-built Janshin, you can use her, but you need to do the optimal rotation, make sure to cancel the Forte and all the stuff. Her outro skill gives 38% amplification for liberation damage dealer, so that's very cool. And there's another budget option, which is Yang, and her outro skill gives 20 energy to incoming resonator. That's very important because Aemeath needs to activate her ultimate at the beginning of rotation, and so you need that uptime very much. So that's very good. Verina can be another alternative for support, and yeah, so Yang and Janshin in my opinion are the best budget options, but besides that, you can play mono fusion as well, like Brand, Lupa, and Aemeath will work perfectly. And yeah, that's basically it. Moni and Linne are not like the only units that can be played with the Aemeath. They're like way more like versatility. So that's basically for Aemeath. She has a lot of themes. If you have a very well built account, you'll definitely find someone who can pair with Aemeath. So that's for Aemeath. Let's go for Chisa. And with Chisa, it's going to be pretty simple. So when it comes to weapons, I would say that alongside Komokiri, I will give her this Radiance, right? Gives you critical damage, gives you attack, high base attack percentage, and that's it. Like a very powerful stat stick. It's the standard broad blade that everyone should have. Now if you really want Komokiri, yeah, it's good, but if you just want Chisa for the sake of Chisa alone, yeah, you don't need Komokiri if you want more damage on Chisa. If you want Chisa to do to buff more on your team, like 24% all attribute damage bonus for entire team, make sure that you're playing Chisa. Make sure that your Kartetia Chakona team is at their like max build, or your Aemeath team, Aemeath and Linne, because if you're not playing Chisa in her best in slot teams, even this weapon will not really help you that much, because outside of Aemeath and Kartetia teams, they're best in slot teams, and that like requires you to have their best sub DPS as well. The only other teams you can make with Chisa are this, and the options I'm gonna show you are not really that good. Something that actually kind of works: Spectral Rover, Chisa as a sub DPS, and then Bullying. This kind of works because Bullying gives Electro Flare, Frazzle goes from Spectral Rover, and Chisa will inflict Havoc Bane, increase maximum stack limit, and support the team that way. However, this is still, even though it clears, is not really that good. It's not really enjoyable team, so unless you have meta teams that you can use Chisa in, you will not have that much fun. Another team Chisa is going to be supporting this team, and that is going to be Phoebe, Spectral Rover, and Chisa. Now you can also play it with Zani, but honestly with Zani I prefer Verena or Spectral Rover as a third slot alongside Phoebe, so honestly Zani doesn't really... It's kind of cope. Feels like a cope if you play her in Zani team, but basically Chisa only has realistically two actual teams where she's the best support. But the problem with Chisa is that she's only 10% better than Arrow Rover and 10% better than Shorekeeper with Aemeath. So that's for Chisa. When it comes to skills, she kind of cheap to build. You only want a level 10 ultimate and level 10 forte. Everything else can be level 6, and that's basically it. So yeah, when it comes to weapons, you can choose this standard weapon, and that's basically it. Lupa. When it comes to Lupa, it's pretty obvious. Radiance Cleaver is going to be very perfect on her. As a stat stick, she does a decent amount of damage. When it comes to her signature might be the best signature in 3.1 banners, because this can be equipped on someone like Calcharo, and Calcharo has this weapon as the #1 option for him, because Calcharo kinda does a lot of damage, and this is basically the peak damage potential with this weapon. However, Lupa, she gives so many buffs that this additional 24% fusion damage bonus is still strong, but it's not needed because she buffs so much. Lupa is basically what we like to say the #1, the best fusion unit in a game. Even with Aemeath released, yeah, she's the best DPS, but Lupa, when it comes to value for fusion teams, she's the best fusion unit, period. So yeah, when it comes to skills, she wants to level up Intro Skill, Liberation, and Forte Circuit, all to level 10 enhanced skills, right? All the enhanced skills and all the stat boosts. Ultra Skill amplifies basic attack damage and fusion damage by 20% and 25% on basic attack. Very, very good. Then for the other buffs for the entire team, you give 9 plus 6, 15% fusion resistance ignore. Very, very powerful for entire team, but you need 3 fusion characters on a team, including Lupa, so basically Lupa and 2 other fusion units. The next one will be the Pack Hunt, and this one is basically after her ult. Entire team of Mono Fusion gets up to 18% attack increase, 10% plus additional 10% if you're fighting bosses. That's 20% extra damage bonus plus 15% from Sonata set. right? If you're using this, you get extra 15% fusion damage bonus to entire team. So 35% fusion damage bonus, 18% attack increase, 15% fusion resistance ignore on the bosses, and powerful fusion ultra skill, which is very powerful on Lupa. That's why she is 10 out of 10 when it comes to a unit. And yeah, she's among the best pulls in 3.1. So yeah, if you need a powerful monofusion team, definitely pick her. As for teammates, she basically pairs with almost every single variation of fusion, like Aemeath, Lupa, Morni. This is a very competitive team. Even if it's not the best in slot for Aemeath, it's still very powerful and competitive. Now the next one is going to be Aemeath, Changli, as well as Lupa. This basically works because Lupa has that opening, right? And so Lupa can easily make with any team. Next one is going to be Lupa, Profesy, Galbrena. So that's very good with Lupa. Like Profesy right here, he buffs heavy attack, Galbrena does heavy attack damage, and Lupa will buff everyone, but you won't have any sustain, so be careful. The next thing that can happen is if you have Morni, you can use Lupa, Morni, and Brand. Brand does basic attack damage as well as Encore, so there's like 2 fusion DPSs that can heavily benefit from Lupa, and you can easily clear floors when you have those units built. So there's a lot of fusion teams that you can make with Lupa. You can buff Encore, make her very powerful, and honestly, that's very strong. So her set is very easy to grind, of course. Skills, I already said that. A weapon, like you can get the standard one, so not even like too expensive to build. Teammates, a lot of fusion teammates. She's very powerful. She also does liberation damage paired with Lene, and she can basically as a main DPS clear the tower floors. So very powerful unit overall. So that's for Lupa, very 10 out of 10 unit. If you want powerful fusion teams, definitely pick Lupa. Next one will be the phase 2. We're done with phase 1, let's go phase 2. The phase 2 will include Luuk. With him, there's something worth noting when it comes to Luuk, and there'll be weapons. Now for the weapons, I actually want to show you something very crazy. In a standard banner, we have this new gauntlet. And this gauntlet basically gives you high base attack, critical rate, low percent attack, and after Tune Strain Interfered is on the target, grant 6% basic attack damage bonus for 3 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. And basically what this means is you get 24% basic attack damage bonus from just attacking. Also, we have another set, so basically you have a standard gauntlet that you can pick for Luuk, so very budget weapon. Now, as for echoes, it doesn't say here, but this is basically the echo set he will use, because there's no new spectral damage DPS set released in 3.1, only in 3.0, and that is this one. So when you do basic attacks 3 times, when you're dealing basic attack damage, increase spectral damage. So you need to deal basic attack damage already, and Luuk will most likely use this, 99%. And with 3 stacks, you get 40% basic attack damage bonus for your liberation cast. So that's very powerful and strong. With the gauntlet as well, Luuk will definitely, as a Tune Strain character, he'll definitely benefit from all of this. So you can pre-farm this set. When it comes to skills, from what I've seen from story, his liberation and forte seems to be the strongest. Now, resin skill might be good on Luuk, but for now, Forte Circuit and Liberation is where the most of his damage will be located. So keep that in mind. So that's for Luuk, and now that's for the weapon and skills. Let's go over his teammates, and this might blow your mind. The best in slot most likely will be Lene, right? Lene will be most likely his best in slot, and so with that being the fact, Morni will probably be his best in slot support as well. But let's say you don't have any of these, because he's a basic attack damage dealer, Sanhua is back. That's right, she is back at it again with her powerful 38% basic attack damage amp and her S6, which gives 20% attack boost to incoming resonators. So very powerful unit. She has like 3 seconds fill time very fast. You can also do something very fast. You can also do something funny, kind of cope if you really want to cope, and use Phoebe as her outro skill. Gives incoming resonator 10% spectral resistance ignore. Phoebe is one of the options, but you already have a way better free-to-play option. And so yeah, Sanhua being for free and requiring only the Overture as her best weapon right here. So yeah, honestly, Luke Herson with a budget weapon, with a budget teammate like Sanhua, and basically support being a Verena. If you have S4 Verena, she can also give Luke additional 15% spectral damage bonus. And so yeah, as well as Showkeeper, right? You can use Showkeeper with Luke Herson. And so yeah, Luke Herson is actually the most budget unit in 3.1. So if you're new among the new players, Luke Herson is way better option than Aemeath. Aemeath is versatile, but she's only mostly she is versatile is with premium units. When Luke Herson has already this is all you need. This is a free unit. If this is one of your best options, you, my friend, are a winner. So you basically have a very budget gauntlet that you can get from the standard banner. You have free sub DPS and free support. So basically your Luke Herson, also if you have Showkeeper or Morny, is cooking. So this guy will destroy endgame 100%, I'm sure. You can also pre-farm his weekly boss mats, because it's the Sigillum. He's available right now. For farm it like 2 weeks and you'll have more than enough for Luke Herson. Farm these gauntlet materials so you can upgrade the gauntlet or his skills, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So from the materials, that's pretty much it. From everything else, yeah, he's very free to play and the best choice for new players. So yeah, besides Luke Herson, let's go to the next and final unit of this video, and that's going to be Galbrena. My main unit, by the way. She's one of my mains. So with Galbrena, she has her weapon. I'm using Phasic Homogenizer, this one right here. This is the most powerful standard weapon at the moment. Gives the most amount of buffs from the skill or attribute damage bonus by 20%. That's very powerful. Critical damage, high and high base attack. Very powerful. My Galbrena actually does way more damage with this weapon than with Carlotta's signature, which does massive crit damage boost but low base attack. So honestly, higher base attack pays off way more. Now this is another shocking truth. Lux and Umbra is the signature weapon of Galbrena. She doesn't need this signature, and from what calculation I saw on the Pride Van and other sites, I saw that this weapon is only like 10% behind when it comes to performance behind this weapon. And you can get this weapon any day of the week as long as you have enough standard pulls. So as long as you have standard pulls, you can just go to the standard banner, which is a permanent banner, and just get this weapon. And so this weapon is always available. This one, you need to save for it. And so because of that, and because you need to use asteroids and limited pulls for this weapon, I'm gonna be honest, it's not worth it. Because this weapon is so good, so I would say overtuned with how good it is, that is like the performance gap between these is so minimal, it's crazy. Lux and Umbra is even worse value than getting Chisa's weapon. And Chisa's weapon for any DPS Broadblood user is a nightmare. Like if you don't crit, you're just barely doing damage. So yeah, Galbrena's weapon is even less valuable because how good the standard pistol is. And to actually, for the proof, it's right here. Right here. You can choose it right here. So whenever you have these green balls, just pull, 10 pull, and get the weapon. And yeah, it's a very powerful weapon. My Galbrena is shredding the endgame. And so yeah, this weapon is just crazy. You can use Static Mist if you don't have Phasic Homogenizer, but I suggest this weapon because it's so good. For echoes, it's very easy to, yeah, you just use this one, use Nightmare Nest. Basically, that's what it is. This is basically her echoes. You want to build the Flame Wing Shadow. So yeah, that's basically very simple. The skills you need to upgrade for Galbrena are basically Liberation and Forte, and that's basically 95. She's at 95% of her power, and only one enhanced skills, because this second one only gives you stamina, which doesn't do anything for you unless you're doing like health strike cancels, but even then you won't really lose any stamina that much. So this is basically unnecessary, like so unnecessary. So yeah, 40 circuit liberation, and down the line you can actually upgrade the normal attack. But I would say these crit stats and attack percentage are way more important at this point in the second week. So yeah, she's so easy to build, so easy to gear. Now with weapons being budget as well as skills being very easy to upgrade, let's talk about teammates. So when it comes to teammates, Galbrena is obviously paired with Lupa in a monofusion alongside Morny. Or instead of Morny, you can use Lupa, Brand, and Galbrena, right? So if you have Brand and you get Lupa, you can go for Galbrena. But again, you can do the same thing with Aemeath. So it's like Aemeath is a better DPS than Galbrena, so that's worth noting. And so yeah, the best in slot for Galbrena is Chuyan, which may or may not come and rerun on the next 3.2 version. So we'll see that. But Chuyan will most likely rerun then. So if he reruns, you can pick him up as well, and you'll have one of the best meta teams in the game. So Galbrena requires kind of Chuyan to reach that maximum potential. She can also be paired when it comes to other units. You can pair her with Changli for quick swap, but not really recommended. Lupa and Morny, and you can also pair her with Yuno for buffing. You can also pair her with Frolova, and Frolova kind of synergizes more because she has 2 echo skill casts, and this is what Galbrena needs, like 5 in a team to activate the full buffs. And honestly, Galbrena is a very powerful DPS, but again, you need a good investment, you need the right teammates. Chuyan, Frolova, Yuno, Morny, Lupa, one of those are very like important. Now for the budget, you can do Lupa, Galbrena, and Mortefi with no sustain, but Mortefi with his ultra skill of 38% heavy attack damage amplification will buff Galbrena enough to clear most of the floors on the Tower of Adversity. So honestly, Mortefi is very good. Mortefi, Showkeeper, Mortefi, Lupa, however you want, you can play Galbrena with them. So yeah, obviously, if I have to choose and pick as new player, I will go for Luuk. If you have a lot of fusion units, you don't have Galbrena, I would rather go for Aemeath. And so yeah, that's basically what I would do if I were any of you, even as a main, as a Galbrena main, because how soon Crow Games decided to release another fusion DPS. I think at this point, Galbrena is kinda in a rough spot. Yeah, she's still very powerful, but it's like, the only reason Galbrena is not considered power creep completely, because Galbrena uses different teammates, right? She can use Lupa, but that's because Lupa is broken. Lupa can be used with any monofusion. Like Lupa, Morny can basically make this. Galbrena, Aemeath can be on the 3rd slot. You can have Changli, Anchor, you can have Brand, you can even have freaking Chisa and still clear the middle tower. So that's how powerful Lupa is. So it's not, oh, you will take away Lupa. No, I mean, if that's the only option for your Galbrena, sure. But Galbrena just has Frolova, Yuno, and Chuyan, and none of those are like synergizing with Aemeath. So at this point, Galbrena has a lot of options that are not really good with Aemeath, and Aemeath has a lot of options that are not necessarily good with Galbrena. So that's very, very important to know. So yeah, Galbrena is a very powerful DPS, but again, there are some more restrictions, like having Chuyan, having Lupa, Morny at the same time. So yeah, Galbrena is a decent, but when it comes to value, after reviewing Galbrena now, let's do a slight recap and see what actually is most valuable. So when it comes to value, if you have well-built account, this unit will be the best. If you have new account, this unit will be the best. So Luuk, Herson, and Aemeath, in my opinion, share the same level of value. It's just one is better in one situation and another one is better if your account is new. Otherwise, I mean, either way, both of them are good options, the perfect options for anyone. Luuk, Herson can be pre-farmed, so honestly that's another additional advantage of Luuk, Herson. where Aemeath, her best in slot set released alongside her, so it takes you longer to actually finish her build, where with Luuk you can actually pre-farm his build right now, you can pre-farm his weekly mats right now and other skill mats right now, get his weapon right now and level it up. So Luuk can be pre-farmed, so for budget players, for casual players, Luuk is like the best choice for any budget player. So Aemeath and Luuk, in my opinion, #1 value when it comes to 3.1. Shocker, right? The 2 new units. When it comes to reruns, the second most valuable spot will be reserved for Lupa, because Lupa is the best fusion character in the game, right? But if you don't have a build account, if you don't have Anchor from a standard banner and you don't have her build, Lupa is not really that good, especially if you don't want to play Anchor. So Lupa is perfect when you want to build a mono fusion, but for that you need other units and stuff. So she's the second biggest value on the 3.1 banners. The third big value is definitely Galbrena, and the fourth value is kinda Chisa. Yeah, Chisa is not like trash, but that only being 10% better with signature is kinda underwhelming in my opinion, so that's not really valuable because it's like too expensive for only 10% difference. That's not even a balance. Should be at least 20% better performance, but it is what it is. But yeah, honestly, all of these units are good in their own ways. When you have Chisa with the Fusion Burst Aemeath, you'll most likely be happy to have Chisa, so there's no like, oh, Chisa is like completely useless. It's just, she brings the least amount of value out of these current units, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's bad. So yeah, Chisa still has value, and she will keep getting value as more and more negative statuses that are actually well made release into the game. So yeah, that'll be for me. I think I was fair enough. I gave you all the pull values, everything from my personal experience and what I think from what I saw from the kids. I think all of these units are very powerful. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below which unit will you pull, which unit you already pulled, or do you want to pull any of the reruns, and do you think I maybe missed something in this video about their value? And yeah, let me know in the comment section below, and see you in the next video. Peace.